Josh Tech, I busted out the David Bowie yesterday. The Let's Dance is on constant rotation here at the Young household because it's March Madness, my friend. It is time to put on the shoes. It's time to start dancing. And I think both of us we've read every piece of the bracket. We've looked at the schedule more times than we can count. We know all the matchups, at least we think we do. And I still think we're going to be more confused just because that's the beauty of March Madness. Happy holidays to you, my friend.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised you didn't go with future March Madness. Maybe that's just a younger generation thing. But as an Atlantan, as an Atlanta resident, you got to go with the future in that situation.
That's true. That's true. I'm old, though. I'm old. So I feel like David Bowie, for me, Let's Dance is something that, I've kind of rocked with for a long time. You can rock with future. I'm going to rock with Bowie. Maybe that's a bracket that works itself too.
It's fire and ice right there. But with this kind of stuff, man, it's like the more you know, the less you know. Because the more you know, the more you tend to overanalyze. And it's just like sometimes the people that have the best brackets are the ones that are like, I like this team because they're purple,
Sure. My 12-year-old has won the family bracket now 2 of the last 3 years. So point in case. And she loves to rub it into her dad's face all the time that she knows way more than me, which, truth be told, she probably does. So what we're going to do, Josh, I think we've talked about different things that we want to do for the show. And I think the best way to go about it is for the general public. Listen, if you haven't already gotten sick yet for Thursday and Friday, get sick now. Okay. It's the perfect time to call in.
Schedule a vasectomy.
Yeah, exactly. I was about to say the same thing. If you're going to get the snip, get that done, get that scheduled. You're probably already too late. But if you had to find an excuse to miss work, we're going to give you games that you're going to want to see so you can plan that out. We've got the schedule already printed off hour by hour. Okay. We're going to go through it. We're going to talk about the games that you're going to want to see, that you're going to want to miss work for, that you're going to want to skip class for, whatever you've got to do to get in front of a TV or even get to the game, even though I don't think anybody even goes to the tournament games anymore, whatever. We're going to find those games. We're going to talk about those games. We're going to start with Thursday on this pod today and break down the action in the afternoon session, of course, the evening session. Then we're going to pick some teams, give you some games to kind of keep your eyes open on that are really going to wreck the bracket, because you can't go chalk in the bracket. You can't do it. Mathematically, it just never happens. So, Josh, do you have your games? Do you have your sleepers already picked out?
Yeah, well, I've got games. I got like 3 pages worth of games over here.
I know you do. I think it goes without saying that everybody that has any sort of ounce of enjoyment for March Madness, you find a way to go watch that game that tips off at 12:15, the opening game of the NCAA tournament, the 64 field, rather, not the first 4. Yeah. We've got Maryland taking on West Virginia, an 8-9 seed. I don't know if, obviously, mathematically, those are the best games every single year, or not every single year, but as far as the matchups are concerned, those are the games that are probably the most well-balanced. I feel like that's why I had to put that on the list. You have to see the first game of the tournament, no matter what, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and this year I feel like all the 8-9 games are like really, really tough to pick. Like, they're spoiler alert, there's gonna be a couple that we bring up. But this one is especially interesting because not only is it the first game of the entire tournament, it's West Virginia, and we're getting to the point where a lot of people from his age bracket are starting to retire. So could this be the last Bob Huggins game? Like that's a really interesting note that I'm kind of looking at.
Yeah, I hope not. I love Bob Huggins. I love watching him compete. He is the GOAT. I love his teams. He loves his own teams. I'm with you, man. But I didn't think about that. You're right.
He's the originator of wearing a windbreaker and just chilling all during the game. It's sick.
The OG of windbreaker fashion, no doubt about it. It does make me wonder now, what is Maryland going to roll out? Do they honor that? Do they come out with their own sort of swag? But I don't have any major insight on this game other than the fact that you've got to see the first game of the tournament. Those games.
It's going to be a rock fight.
Yeah.
It's a typical West Virginia kind of Maryland kind of game. It's going to be ugly. It's going to be played probably in the 40s, but for sickos, that's a great game.
Yeah, bet the under is what you're saying. Bet the under, which I probably will. Here's where I think it gets really interesting. I'm pretty biased because these are 2 of my favorite coaches in the game. We've got number 13 seed Furman taking on number 4 seed Virginia. That's the 12:40 East Coast time on True TV. That's a game, to me, I think you've got to go watch for a number of reasons. One, like I said, you've got tremendous coaches. I don't think there's any doubt that Tony Bennett is really one of the best minds in the game. Bob Ritchie's proven himself in Furman's first tournament appearance in 40 years. I think that's really notable. The Paladins have been playing really well. The SoCon's been really tough. But here's something that's interesting, Josh. You've got two really, really good teams and what they do really well. Furman is one of the best offensive teams in the country, 82.1 points a game. And then you've got Virginia, and they only give up 60.5 points a game. So who's going to impose their will here that can really kind of set the standard for what the game's going to be? You've watched both teams a lot, I think, this season. Do you have any idea? Do you have any gut feeling on this game?
Well, this is one that you could look at as a potential upset. I think Furman is really
is it your upset
to do that. It's on my list of ones to watch. I don't know if it's going to be one that I pick. I still have to do some deliberating on that, but it's certainly on ones that, like, if someone's like, "Hey, what's an upset?" and like I could point them to this one and be like, "Hey, you should probably think about that one." Mike Bothwell for Furman is going to be one of the mid-major players watching this tournament. He's fantastic. Furman's beaten, high major ACC kind of caliber teams before, so they can reasonably do it again. We've seen Virginia kind of struggle in this first round in the past, so you never know.
Yeah, Jalen Slauson's also another guy for Furman that I really like, really versatile guy. It's interesting with both of these teams. They have their own recruiting strategy where they go after guys that fit them really, really well. With Virginia, we know they've got to get really smart guys that can drill, pass, and shoot, really high fundamental skill guys that we've seen, and we know that they're going to execute how they play. With Furman, I've known Bob Ritchie a long time. I know their strategy. They go after guys that don't play necessarily on the big travel circuits. They go after – a lot of their guys only have one scholarship offer. They recruit and evaluate really, really well. And you mentioned also, is this the last game for Bob Huggins potentially at West Virginia? I also wonder, is this the last game at Furman for Bob Ritchie? He was an assistant there, of course, been the head coach there for, I think, 4 or 5 years as a candidate for a number of the open jobs, which are a lot of jobs open this year. And Bob Ritchie certainly is a candidate that's worthy of that. We've got a lot of guys on that staff, too, that have been HoopSeen guys, Jordan Lyons and Daniel Fowler, and guys that have played with us in our previous camps. What's that?
JP Pegues is another guy to look out for. He's really good.
No question. Yeah, no question. So there's a lot of
another note in this game. Really quick, another note in this game is that Virginia forward Ben Vanderplas is in play. That takes some firepower away from the Hoos.
Yeah. I mean, I'm with you. I think this is a game, again, just the second game of the day, but I think there's a lot on the line here for the overall bracket, which we're going to talk a little bit later when we get down to the 5-12 game in that South division as well. Let's keep it moving. And I think these first 3 games on Thursday are really important and really fun games to watch. We talked a lot about the 2 different styles of Virginia, the fast pace that they like to run, the defensive style of Virginia. When you are from Furman in Virginia, when you flip it down the next game at the 140 spot on TNT, you've got number 10 seed Utah State playing the number 7 seed Missouri, 2 of the very best offenses in the country, 2 of the top 25 offenses in the country. Fast pace. I know you're smiling because you love Utah State. I'll get out of your way.
I don't know why. I don't know how this happened. I became a Mountain West guy, and I really do love Utah State. It's been for years too. They just clicked one year during the Mountain West tournament, and I was like, yo, I love this team.
Well, they're fun and they're fast. I mean, they almost average 80 points a game. They've got 5 guys that average double figures. I mean, they really get after. Stephen Ashworth is a local kid, 16 points a game. Really one of the best guards, I think, that we've seen in mid-major basketball. Really, really good. In Missouri, too, we've talked about Dennis Gates in a number of podcasts earlier for open jobs earlier in the season. We know that he's a rising star in the coaching ranks. I think he's just 42 years old. Did a terrific job at Cleveland State, really establishing himself at Mizzou. And, it's funny, Mizzou, they were such a powerhouse for basketball for such a long time. Unbelievable place to watch a game. We're seeing this this rebranding, if you will. It's really fun. It's really fast. They're going to go get some guys. And they've got a number of transfers on their team. But Kobe Brown, a guy that stayed the course there, a guy that we saw quite a bit on HoopSeen platform. Garrett Tucker's, he and I were texting each other back and forth. I'm like, did you ever think Kobe Brown would be this good? He's like, man, I did not. I did not think that. And credit to Kobe. Really one of the toughest guys to guard. Does Utah State, since you've watched them, do they have the girth to guard a guy like Kobe Brown, who's really, I mean, I'm not going to call him LeBron, but he's that big forward that can pass, that can rebound, that's hard to move. I mean, how does Utah State match up with a guy like Kobe Brown?
I mean, look, as much as I would love to pick this as one of my upsets, like it is one to watch because Utah State isn't that good. But I got to go with Mizzou here. I just don't think that Utah State has enough firepower to match up with them. Offensively, they do, but defensively, I'm not sure. Like you said, how the guy like Kobe Brown. But for my Aggie fans out there, for my people out there, Ryan Odom, he pioneered one of the most famous upsets in the NCAA tournament history. He's now the head coach at Utah State. I mean, he was coaching at UMBC when they beat Virginia. So you never know. He's got the magic.
He's got the magic for sure. I think this is a game, too, if you're a casual basketball fan, if you have a friend that's your next door neighbor, maybe your mom's asking, like, if there's a game, like, what should I watch? I think this is a game that you're going to
want to watch. It's going to be high scoring.
It's going to be high scoring. And I think to your point of what Utah State is and what Ryan Odom's experience is, Dennis Gates is a rising star of the coaching ranks. To me, this game actually embodies why we love the tournament, right? Like, we love Cinderella, if you want to call it. I don't think Utah State really, the last decade, is probably more of a power than Missouri is.
They're an at-large. I mean, they're an at-large bid. I mean, I feel like if you're an at-large from a school like a conference like Mountain West, like, yeah, you're good.
Fair. But we know Utah State is a team that you kind of expect to be in the tournament based on, even back when Coach Merrill was there. Nevertheless, I think if you're a casual fan of sport and you're at the sports bar on a Thursday for lunch, this is a game that I think will be a lot of fun. I actually like the scheduling of this game. I think it makes a lot of sense for just the general public to go see. I'm moving down the line, but I like those 3 games in a row as you get started. CBS, True TV, TNT, 12:15, all the way down to that 1:40 tip spot. I think those first 3 games of the tournament on Thursday are very, very good.
Oh yeah, I'm getting so excited just thinking about it. That's great basketball.
Okay, I don't think we need to get too much into a 16-1 matchup. Howard, unbelievable season. It's been really fun to see them play. Awesome. Really good coaching staff, and I think they're doing some great things there. But Kansas, I mean, Bill Self will be back. They'll be emotional with him. Not emotional, but like fired up that he's back on the sidelines. You've got the play-in game, Southeast Missouri State, Texas A&M, Corpus Christi playing Alabama. If you want to watch a superstar pro, watch Brandon Miller. I think you'll have a chance to see him quite a bit. Josh, I think that 3:10 East Coast time game on True TV with College of Charleston and San Diego State, I think there's a lot on the line there. You're smiling big already. What's going on in that mad scientist mind of yours with this one?
I mean, this is another one that's like Mountain West versus like, I just love these mid-major kind of matchups, right? Yeah. Mountain West, San Diego State. My dad, he doesn't know anything about college basketball. He watched the Mountain West final. He was texting me about San Diego State. I mean, I have ties to San Diego, so it's kind of one of those like kind of root for the Aztecs a little bit. But Charleston's been a great story. Pat Kelsey's been fantastic. They're 30-3 on the season.
Most wins of any team in the tournament, yeah.
Exactly. Pat Kelsey is a guy that's getting me in line for a lot of jobs coming up. He's got fantastic energy. He's won everywhere he's been. He recruits really well, so that's a guy to look out for as a star for these high majors that are opening up.
Yeah, they're a high-paced, high octane offense. 80 points a game. They got 5 guys in double figures. San Diego State, they're a 9-guy rotation.
They're a defensive-minded team, so this is another styles clash here.
Yeah, I think this will be really fun. I think when you look at the bracket, if you look at the South bracket in that quadrant, we talked about Furman and Virginia a lot, and then you've got San Diego State and Charleston. The winners of those games play each other. I think when you look at that, I think you've got upset potential in both of those games. Okay. Yeah. I think Charleston and Furman are both capable of winning. I think that would be a really fun game to watch potentially in the second round. I think San Diego State and Virginia in the second round is also a very fun game. All that being said, I think all of those
mix and match either one. Furman, San Diego State, Charleston, Virginia, like that's good. That's great. Like I'm really excited.
Yeah, I think the committee did a really good job there. I think honestly too, I'll take a step further. I think Alabama, who obviously is our #1 overall seed in the tournament, I think when you get to the Sweet 16, I think all 4 of those teams that we talked about, San Diego State, Charleston, Virginia, and Furman, against Alabama, assuming that Alabama runs the table and goes there to Sweet 16. I got to be honest, if you want to look for some absolute just devastation on brackets, that Sweet 16 matchup is really, really juicy. Really juicy. Yeah, all 4 of these teams are capable. Yeah. So I like that. I think that to me was one of my upset picks of the tournament.
Charleston over San Diego State.
Yeah, I don't know if a 12 over a 5 is right. Mathematically, we always know that 12s do, but I think the 13s.
Yeah, it's technically an upset, but yeah, no, I mean that some of these are hard for me to consider as upsets because Charleston's been so good all season long.
Okay. I think you'll appreciate this one. If this is a Food City bracket, Charleston and San Diego playing each other, that's a pretty high level. That's a Sweet 16 matchup.
That's right crazy. There. I gotta go with
that's a bracket I need to put together. That's a bracket we need to put together.
In terms of just food stuff, I gotta go San Diego State just because that Mexican food it's like you don't get you don't get Southern California Mexican food like anywhere else, right? Like Charleston, they have great food, but you can get Southern kind of food in any major Southern city, and you can get it done well.
No, I disagree. Charleston to me is where it originates, and everybody tries to copy. You can go into any restaurant in Charleston and get the best shrimp and grits you've ever had in your life, and you could literally do that at any restaurant in Charleston. Where San Diego, I feel like
go ahead.
If you're looking for street tacos in San Diego, I feel like you've got to go to the right barrio in order to get it. You can get some really crappy street tacos. Where in Charleston, like to me, that's it. San Diego's known for street tacos, and Charleston's known for shrimp and grits. You can go to any place in Charleston and get great shrimp and grits. So you can go to any place in San Diego and not get great street tacos.
I kind of agree there. I think San Diego has pretty good street taco options everywhere. I also think as far as shrimp and grits go, like I feel like people in New Orleans are like really red-faced right now because I feel like they're going to argue that they have the best shrimp and grits.
No, they have the best alcohol. They win there. They win there. I don't know, man. I feel like, listen, if a fat guy really makes a strong argument for food, you just get out of the way and you agree. So I feel like I won that one.
Hey, I'm not pushing it. I gotta argue for my people here. Like I feel like you're more of the guy. You just fight where we live. Like, and I'm, California ties. So.
Okay, well, I think a food city bracket actually would be pretty sweet, like a 16 team, 16 city bracket would actually really good. Charleston, I think, would have to be close to a 1 or 2 seed, if I'm being honest. Okay, as we wrap things up here with the afternoon games, we've got a 4:30 Eastern tip-off on TBS. Another 8-9 game. You've got Illinois and Arkansas. Josh, I actually think this game won't be that good, honestly. But the reason I have it highlighted is because I think if you like pro potential, there's a lot of guys in this game. Obviously, with Nick Smith and Anthony Black, I think those are 2 guys. I mean, even Ricky Council as a guy that could make a splash. And then you got Terrence Shannon for Illinois. But to me, I really think Arkansas, I think they're pretty pissed from the SEC tournament. I think that Eric Musselman likes to lean into kind of like the villain status. Where I think they'll kind of play into that. In Illinois, I just don't ever know what team I'm going to get when I watch them play. No clue.
They're up and down. Yeah, I mean, this is a battle of the 2 teams that have been the most up and down. For Arkansas, they've been up and down because of injury for the most part. Like Trevon Brazile and Nick Smith missed most of the season. But with Eric Musselman, I feel like he's the guy that thrives in March. I feel like I don't remember the exact statistic, but I feel like he's advanced to the second weekend each year he's been over at Arkansas. So he's a guy that really takes over this time of year.
Yeah, there's something about, and you bring up a good point. Both teams are kind of like, I don't know what to expect. So it's a pretty good pairing right out of the gate. But I do think that indecisiveness of who's going to show up does make this game pretty intriguing. Nonetheless, the winner of this game obviously goes on and plays a number 1 seed in the second round. What game is that going to be? That would be Kansas, more than likely, is who they would play in the second round, which does make for a pretty juicy second round game as well. Yeah. So the morning games or the afternoon games, it's morning out here in the West Coast, mid-afternoon for you. What do you feel like is the best game of those afternoon brackets? If you had to pick just one game to skip work or, watch on your computer with the boss button, if they still even have that, what are you watching?
I mean, I think I'm going Charleston, San Diego State, and then very close second is Utah State, Missouri. Yeah. I think those 8-9 games they're interesting, but I think they're both kind of just ugly. Like none of those teams really like wow me. I think Arkansas has the most wow potential, but none of the other teams are like, they don't really. There's not a lot of like, sex appeal there. I guess in regard, I think that both are gonna be ugly games. But I think that Utah State Missouri game is going to be really fun, and Charleston San Diego State is going to be a blast.
Yeah.
So
I think if you post it up at a sports bar, you can crush some serious wings or chips and salsa. Really, that opening slate is really juicy, I think, from top to bottom. I'm with you. I think that Utah State Missouri game is my favorite of all the games that we have here in the afternoon slate. Let's move it on to the evening slate. We take a break. You can, if you have a significant other, she's got a honey-do list for you. Tackle it in between. You got that little hour to get some stuff done, get some dishes done, cook some dinner. Work with the kids. Do what you got to do because you got a pretty good night ahead of you as we move forward. Josh, I'll kind of throw it to you. Right out of the gate, is there a game of these evening games on Thursday night that you've got to really carve out time to make sure that you get your eyes in front of a TV and watch?
Yeah, I'm looking right here. I'm looking at 7-10, Oral Roberts and Duke. I think that's potential upset. Oral Roberts has the firepower. They have a 7'4" guy that transferred over from Arkansas. And then they've got Max Asmus, who was an NCAA tournament hero in the past, and Duke's playing really well right now. So I think that's a 12-5 to look out for. Oral Roberts can win that game, and then Duke is also playing really well. There's a lot of star power. John Shire, his first year, how far can he make in the tournament? They just won the ACC tournament, so that's one that I'm really looking out for. Boise State and Northwestern, that's a really good game. That's another game that I'm looking for as an upset. Boise State, the 10 seed, Northwestern, the 7 seed. Northwestern and Chris Collins making their second NCAA tournament appearance. He kind of got himself off the hot seat over there this season. And Boise State's always good. Like, I think that might be a Mountain West sleeper that a lot of people on the East Coast may not.
Listen, I'm an Idaho guy.
I know that you're an Idaho guy. If there's anybody in the basketball sphere that watches more Idaho basketball than you, I need to meet him.
I would like to meet him too, because we'd be best friends. We'd be absolute best friends. Yeah, I like Boise State a lot. I think they've got a chance to be really good. And by the way, why would Chris Collins ever be on the hot seat at Northwestern? He took your team to the tournament. You know how hard that is to do there? Like, give that man a lifetime contract. Jeez.
Now he's taking him to tournaments, and now he is. I feel like he is the god there.
He should be. He should be. Yeah. It's so hard to do good things there at Northwestern. He's done a really good job. Yeah, I'm with you. I think what's that?
I got another game. I'm sorry.
It's probably the same game that I've got. What do you got?
Number 10, Penn State, and number 7, Texas A&M. I mean, Jalen Pickett for Penn State is maybe the most underrated player in the country right now. He should be an All-American. And Texas A&M and Buzz Williams have been, playing as good a basketball since the start of the new year as anybody. They were, in the SEC tournament final. They finished second place in the SEC during the regular season. That team is playing really well. Penn State, just ran through a lot of really tough opponents in the Big Ten tournament. They lost to Purdue in the final, but that was a really close game. And I think both these teams are playing really well at the right time.
I think so too. I don't love that it's basically a 10 o'clock start on the East Coast. I think that's something you got to get some caffeine in you, and you're going to want to watch. Because I'm with you. I think if there's any player in the entire tournament that embodies what March Madness is all about, is what Jalen Pickett's doing. He's the number one transfer I think that there is in the country, coming over from Siena. He has single-handedly put Penn State in this place. I really like what Shrewsbury's done, but I think Jalen Pickett's one of those guys that you're like, holy crap. That dude's got some stones. And then on top of that, you got a pissed off Buzz Williams that he's a 7 seed, which pissed off Buzz is always fun to watch. I'm always curious to see what kind of 3-piece suit he's going to rock. Like the best combo is always something that I want to see late at night. He dresses as good as a preacher. So I'm with you. I actually think that this game, Josh, if I had to pick one game of the entire day, this is the one that I think I'm the most excited about. Yeah,
me too. I think this is the best game of the entire day. Michael Shrewsbury is, being talked about for a lot of these openings like Georgetown and Notre Dame and whatever, like a lot of these job openings, because he's done such a good job over there at Penn State. I mean, it's year 2, and he's got them in the NCAA tournament playing as well as anybody.
Yeah, shout out my guy Brian Snow, who's on staff there as a recruiting coordinator. So I see you, Snow. You can finally smile. Snow. I think there's one more game here. Do you have an upset game that you like on this afternoon slate, or this evening slate rather?
Geez, all the ones that I just mentioned, like Oral Roberts over Duke is potential upset. Boise State over Northwestern, I think that's maybe the one that I'm looking at. And then Penn State. I mean, technically Penn State over Texas A&M would be an upset. I mean,
I can't believe you didn't say. I'm shocked that you didn't pick Louisiana over Tennessee.
That one's tough. I mean, I know Zakai Ziegler's out for Tennessee. I just think that team still has enough weapons to get by Louisiana. That is a really close one that almost made my list. But these 3 other games have more upset potential to me in that one.
I think I'm going to pick Louisiana in every bracket. All 3,000 I'm going to make this week over Tennessee.
Well, I feel like that one for me was one that I was like, oh yeah, Tennessee always gets bounced. And I feel like this is the year that they're going to like kind of make some noise now that everyone's kind of clued in on, all right, Tennessee, they get bounced early. They never make a run, blah, blah, blah. They're missing a player. I think for some reason, I feel like the mojo is going to turn around. And they're actually going to make the second weekend this year.
As an awkward teenager in high school, this is the year was my theme with every girl I ever tried to talk to in high school. It never worked. So I'm confident that theory of this is the year is not the strategy that you want to lay when we're talking March Madness, because as my high school experience showed, that was not the move, that this was the year. So I'm out on that one. I'm out. I'm going Louisiana over Tennessee. I just don't trust.
I don't think you're alone there either. I think that's going to be a very popular pick.
Yeah, and that one's going to be interesting because I think Duke, it's funny, like I'm with you. Oral Roberts is fun, a lot of fun. Yeah. But I think Duke is really surging at the right time. And I think one of the reasons why people have Duke, a lot of people have Duke in the Final Four, is because of this matchup potentially with Louisiana potentially knocking out Tennessee out of the first round, which would then potentially put them against Duke in the second round, which gives Duke, I think, a pretty I don't want to say easy. It's not, no game's easy in March Madness, but a little bit more favorable line moving forward. So a lot of fun stuff. I do want to end it with this, man. UNC Asheville, they make it to the tournament. Then they got to go play UCLA. Then they got to travel across the country and get to Sacramento. So the Asheville to Sacramento flight is probably not something that's very easy to go about. I don't know how they're going to go about doing that. They probably got to go to Charlotte and then fly to Salt Lake, and then Salt Lake to Sacramento. I don't know how they're going to do that, but man, and then they get the late game. So it's a midnight. No, that's a 1 a.m. start for UNC Asheville.
For them. And then while UCLA is injured, I mean, they're still playing really well. That Pac-12 championship game was so much fun. I stayed up.
It was unbelievable.
That was so good. Jaime Jaquez, oh my God, that dude is so good. I love him.
I do too. They're fun. They're tough. I really like UCLA a lot. I think they're going to do some fun things. We're going to talk about them a lot more, I think, as we get into this bracket. So there you go. Thursday. Okay, let's kind of walk it back as we round it out. Man, we've gone that long. I didn't realize how long we've been going. I think we're in agreement that Penn State, Texas A&M is the most fun game that you're going to want to watch. That's going to be at 10 p.m. basically start TBS. I really make sure you just go find a place. Go find a sports bar. Go hang out with your coworkers. Go hang out with your friends, your family. Bring your wife or your girlfriend, whomever it is. I think those first 3 games, really that whole afternoon slate on Thursday is a really good start to the NCAA tournament. We'll see what happens. If you're watching this, and I forgot to plug this the whole time, make sure you click the link below. We've got a HoopSeen bracket challenge. We've got a free swag pack that's going to go to the winner overall. Make sure you get in our Run the Pool bracket challenge that we've got set up. We've already got a number of people already in there, so make sure you click the link. Go let us know. You can play against me. You can play against Josh. You can play against our whole HoopSeen team. Maybe my 12-year-old daughter who smokes me every single year. Maybe we'll get her in there as well, since she's the expert in the family these days. But yeah, go check it out. Go be a part of the fun. Go watch the games. Get out of there. Go find a good a day off of work. I think this should be a national holiday.
If you're a travel team, an AAU team, sign up for Georgia Cup this weekend. I'll be watching the games there Saturday and Sunday. So if you want to watch games with me, sign up and play. Bring your team. We'll watch the games together. We'll talk about the games.
And we'll have the games on in the lobby as well, in the bench and everywhere else that's in there in Swanee Sports Academy as well. So yeah, or you can just go look over Josh's shoulders. I'm sure he'll he probably wouldn't mind. Just don't get close to the scores table. That's all we ask. But this was fun, Josh. We're going to get into Friday's slate as well a little bit later, so make sure you go check that out. But, man, go get your brackets done. Josh, this was fun. Let's get into it, man. Enjoy the games.
Absolutely.